So, I was gonna do a live Facebook video last night and let people ask questions or comment or whatever, but I kind of let myself get in a little bit of a funk. I know that's really hard for y'all to believe, and just got tired and didn't do it. So, I thought about doing it now, and then I decided I'm not that confident in myself. I'd rather record it this way. If it doesn't turn out good, I don't have to post it. So I think I have lipstick on my teeth or something. Anyway, so I was talking to a friend that they were just texting, and he was saying that he just wanted to be used by God, and I said, I understand that. That's something that I struggle with all the time. And I said, I think it's this whole thing, it's kind of been something, I don't want to say a kick, but this term, your purpose, your calling, that's really come into play the last couple of years. You hear it a lot in sermons and stuff. And I think it's maybe kind of messed some of us up because we think we've got to have this big Moses moment where God calls us and tells us to lead the people out of Egypt, and that's just not what happens to most of us. One of my favorite quotes is by Helen Keller, and I think I've said this before. It's, "I long to accomplish a great and noble task, but it is my chief duty to accomplish small tasks as if they were great and noble." And I think that's very true. I think for most of us, we're not going to be Billy Graham. We're not, obviously you've got some people that are called to be pastors or worship leaders, people who are called even into politics. I wish we'd have some more of those, but we won't go there tonight. But you've got people who are very obviously called into certain vocations, per se, certain ministries, but most of us, our calling is just walking with Christ every day, and being obedient to Him. I have really been listening to and watching some videos of Rich Mullins the last week or so. And for those of you who don't know who that is, he was a Christian artist back in the 80s and early 90s. He was actually killed in a car accident in 1997. And but his legacy that he left is amazing. Not just the songs that he sang, but his the life that he led, the humility, that kind of thing. And so I was watching a video the other night, and some of the things he said just really struck me in regards to this particular topic, I guess you could say. One of the things he said in one of the interviews was, God doesn't need you for anything. God doesn't want to use you. He wants you to love Him. And there are some people who will immediately, your reflex is going to go, what? Well, the truth is God doesn't. I mean, He said if we don't praise Him, the rocks will cry out. He can make donkeys speak. He doesn't need us to accomplish what He wants to accomplish, but He wants us to love Him. And once we do love Him, then we do want to do those things that are pleasing to Him. And he quoted St. Augustine, where he said, "Love God and do as you please." And that, again, that just goes along with it, that if you truly love God, then you're going to be doing the things that are pleasing to Him. if you love somebody, you do the things that you think make them happy. Not necessarily to earn their love, but just because you know it makes them happy. And, it's not hard to be faithful to somebody that you love. It's not hard to be considerate and thoughtful to somebody that you love. And so those two things really struck me. Gosh, there was so much in this interview. He says, when we live in an awareness of the work of Christ, it becomes unthinkable that we should do anything but love him back. So let me read that again. When we live in an awareness of the work of Christ, meaning his salvation for us, his grace, his mercy, his death and resurrection, when we live in an awareness of that, it becomes unthinkable that we should do anything but love him back. He said, I hope people never get frustrated being faithful in the small things, because in the small things, that's where it comes together or falls apart. Again, I mentioned Billy Graham, or I mentioned, pastors, things like that. They get to be in the limelight and stuff, but if there weren't a whole lot of people in the background doing the little things, they wouldn't have a limelight. There would be nobody to run the lights at church or whatever, to run the sound. So it's in those small things. Somebody there to sweep the floors at church, to make sure the doors are unlocked on Sunday morning or whenever. He said, God is expressing himself uniquely in each of our own lives. The best way to rejoice in God, your Maker, is to be who he made you to be, to do what he calls you to do. And I thought this was really neat. He said, our calling is the place where the world's greatest need and our greatest joy intersect. Actually, he said that was kind of a paraphrase of a quote from Frederick Buechner. And so if you have found a place where you've found a need and you enjoy meeting that need, then that's a calling. And it's not that you just have one calling in your life. I love to make crafts and give them away. And I love to take food to people. And so part of that is my gifting. But that's not my only calling. I'm called to share the gospel with people, to share Jesus with people. I am called to love people regardless of what they believe, what they think, what they say. I am called to be a good employee. I'm called to be a good friend. So, it's this thing of this word purpose, find your purpose, find your calling. I've been chasing that for a couple of years now and have gotten really discouraged because I can't find my purpose, that big purpose. And I get really discouraged because I think, God, where is it? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to write a book? Am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do that? But the thing is, if I just keep doing what I'm doing and walking with him, I think he's pleased with that. If I keep seeking him and trying to hear his voice and follow his leading, that's more pleasing to him than trying to be some big something that I've dreamed up, And again, there are people who have a calling on their lives. But that's not their only calling, you know. If you're a parent, I don't care if you're a pastor or an evangelist or a prophet or whatever. If you're a parent also, that's your first calling. And then the other. And if you're married, biblically speaking, you're a husband or a wife first. And then you're a parent. And then you're calling. And that's not to say that God is at the very top of that, but that is just your relationship with God, not your vocation or whatever. So, anyway, I just really loved a lot of this that he said, and I'm going long, so I'll probably try to just do this again sometime. Maybe I will do a live video. Y'all can watch this, and then we can talk about it sometime. But I wanted to read. It just made me think a minute ago. Just being completely honest with you guys. I've struggled this year with my health. It's been a struggle ever since my thyroid died a few years, 9 years ago now. But, I hurt my back during the spring, and that's just made things even more challenging. And so I just feel like I have not accomplished a whole lot of anything. I really feel like life is passing me by most of the time. And it's very discouraging. And I just think, God, I don't know what to do. I don't want to play this game anymore. If you can't make me better and give me energy and heal me or something, I don't want to play this game anymore. And for some reason, it brought me to Romans 7, where Paul is talking about Romans 7, and I'll start in verse 14. We know that the law is spiritual, but I am unspiritual, sold as a slave to sin. I do not understand what I do, for what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do. And if I do what I do not want to do, I agree that the law is good. As it is no longer myself who do it, but it is sin living in me. For I know that good itself does not dwell in me, that is, in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but cannot carry it out. For I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do. That's a tough passage to read. But the evil that I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. Anyway, most of you are familiar with that passage anyway. And I just was thinking, we think of this a lot in the terms of sin and doing bad things or whatever. But for me, it's, I struggle with this wanting to do good and not able to do it. And of course in James it says, he who knows what he should do and doesn't do it, that's sin. I think that's in James. So, I feel like I'm not living out the potential that God gave me. I'm not living out his purpose completely for me, which again is just walking every day in his footsteps and in his love, and meeting needs as I come across them and finding joy in that. And so I just want to, again, maybe I'll get back on here. Y'all can think about this, and maybe I can get back on here and we can have a little bit of a discussion or something. I just want to encourage you to not get so hung up on the terminology of your purpose. your calling. And it's hard for me because I've been saying it for so long now. I'm saying it over again. It's what my purpose is. Um, I'm looking down here again at this quote that God doesn't need you for anything. God doesn't want to use you. He wants you to love Him. That's what He wants. That's your purpose. That's your calling, is to love Christ, to love God. And when you do that, the rest of it really does kind of fall into place. Doesn't mean we won't still have struggles. Like I said, I'm struggling, but I'm also in that struggle seeking, looking for inspiration in other godly people and in God's Word. And so ultimately it is going to be for His good. It's hard to see that right now, but it will be. So I'll leave it there for now. I hope that made sense. And like I said, maybe in a day or two I can get back on and we can do kind of a live discussion. If y'all are interested in that, and you can say yay or nay whether you are. So thanks for listening tonight. Have a good night.